I still refuse to call what I do like a method. I don't call it the Meindl method. Although that sounds okay. Like that sounds very good. But I refuse to do that. Why? I don't want to label something. I don't want to define something. I don't want to reduce something as one thing, because it's not. There's no such thing. There are as many ways into anything in life as there are billions of people on the planet. And I think we get into trouble, certainly from a socio-political perspective, when we start to reduce or marginalize or define people and categories and income and gender and race. That's what we're seeing. And so for some reason, unconsciously, or probably it was conscious, I was like, I don't really believe in reducing something to make it be a checklist about a formula of acting, because you all, as you progress on your journey of life, are making up your own method. And you pick and choose and work with what works for you, always then being available to the moment. But I had a kind of like a really amazing full circle moment, because I was watching this Brené Brown, before I left for Sydney, I watched this Brené Brown special on Netflix, which I highly recommend. It's super funny and really moving, and it's what we're talking about week in and week out here. And I had a flash of Brené Brown that I was like, whoa, she's very popular now. If you don't know her, you maybe should. She's, definitely a very forward-thinking social researcher about how to engage in the world in a more present, conscious, causality-based way. And it's all based on the power of vulnerability. And I remember 10 years ago, I was really excited about her work before she'd really kind of hit like she has now. And I quote her in the first book, and that book is already almost 10 years old. So 2011, that's 9 years old, 9 years. But I remember thinking Brené Brown's research, she has a PhD, and what she has done for many years with people is go out into the world and have an experimental group and a control group and do surveys, and that's how they create statistics based on people being very forthcoming about questions about what it means to be human, where it gets tricky, where they get stuck, where it's scary. And what she always uses the word, in my research, my data has shown. And then I realized, holy hell, my data, my research has been being in the trenches, has been being in the trenches with human beings for I don't know how many thousands of actors I've taught, which to me is such an amazing creative expression of being human in all its weird glory, the great parts and the weird parts that we're scared of and judge. So it really is like a scientific experiment, what we've been doing in acting classes, at least at this school, for 20-some years. And I realized we've come to the same conclusion, this power of vulnerability. And so I want you to think about this the next time somebody is like, well, what do you learn there? What is that methodology at AMAW? What are you taught? I mean, besides listening and reacting and being present and working off of yourself and working off of your partner and trusting your instincts and being bold and not apologizing and giving yourself permission. Shall I go on? There's more. You know what I mean? Not overthinking it and not doubting it and making a stamp of your own way of doing it. I can go on and on. That is what we're learning. That is technique. And I can say it another way. It's the way Brené Brown says it. This is what it is to be human. So, and yet, it's even a double helix more so maybe in acting. She says that to be brave or to be courageous is to live in uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposure without knowing the ending, the conclusion, the outcome, living in the unknown. Where have you learned that? That's all we teach. If you're listening and reacting and working off of what somebody's giving you that's unprepared, which is like life, you're dwelling in the unknown. It's batshit scary. So it immediately, simultaneously also makes you what? Vulnerable. And then also makes you what? Brave, courageous, badasses. You're doing the thing that she's saying if people did all the time would be living the kind of life they envision for themselves. I would go so far as to say our planet would not be in the condition it would be in. And that's also actually life itself. Kids, as Adon and I always like to joke, We're spinning around in the middle of dark matter on a planet, a piece of rock that's been here for 4.5 billion years. Nobody knows. That must mean you exist, you dwell, your DNA is already risk, uncertainty, emotional exposure, and not knowing the outcome. That's life. So we just want to keep trying to be more brave and applying that in an acting context and going out in the world and doing it and trying to show up in a space with other people and giving ourselves the permission, if those people don't know how to do it, showing them how by just being you, sharing you. And kids, that's enough. Not only is that enough, that's all there is. At the end of the day, that's all there is.